moment of my parents' life. I gave a speech to my fellow classmates about how you should follow your dreams. For your dreams are what give you strength. When you fail, you will fail. In the back of my mind were the whispers of brackets. You are going to pursue a pre-medical degree. I will accept nothing else. You are too brilliant to sully your mind with anything less. You are going to be the first doctor in this family, Callie. I wanted to be a doctor, but I couldn't afford the bill that it would have incurred. You have us to help you pay. You will be a doctor. I felt like a complete liar. Follow your dreams? Who was I trying to fool? I wasn't following my dreams. I was following my parents' dreams of happiness. I would get my medical degree. I would be a prestigious doctor. I would get married. I would have 2.5 kids. I would balance my job with the pressure of being mother. I would go to every event that my child had. I would be perfect and brilliant. I would make my parents proud and give them bragging rights like they have never had before. College is different than high school. You don't send home reports about how I am doing, and my parents can't keep as firm a track of my progress as when I was in high school. The pressure from the brackets seemed to lessen. Find a handsome boyfriend. You should always marry your childhood sweetheart. They seemed almost as if they were music playing very low. If I strained my ears, I could almost make out the words. My life seemed more free, more my own. I could make choices about what I would eat and what to wear to class. I was able to pick my classes, times, and even on which days I wanted them. With the freedom came certain realizations. I took a college-level algebra class and found for the first time I actually liked how the numbers flowed. It made sense in my mind in a way that I never understood before. I was also able to take an art course. Suddenly, it wasn't a choice of either or. I could have both. It was as if someone had turned me loose in a candy store after the owner had left on the final day of business, and the owner told me I could take whatever struck my fancy. If it wasn't bolted down, it was mine. I found love in the dorm room in the arms of Lucille. She had long and wavy dark red hair that fell to her waist. She was quick to smile and her lips were thin. She had a short, pixie-cut nose and the middle of a very round face. Her eyes were a silver blue that were as mercutio as her nose. She laughed loudly, not caring if the world heard her or not. She was my study buddy for my cellular biology class. She had been listening to me talking about the properties of water and pH balance before she sandwiched me by leaning over to me and kissing me. I kissed her back with a passion I didn't know had existed inside of me and was thankful that the library was deserted. We began to sneak around the dorms together. We kissed in deserted nooks where the sofas were terribly soft and comfortable. In those moments our lips met, we seemed to melt into one another until I was never sure if we were two separate people. We would sneak behind the dorm building and kiss in the middle of the night with the stars twinkling like diamonds above our heads. We kissed in our separate dorm rooms, like we were clinging to each other to make sense of the world that we were suddenly thrown into. Lucille might not have been thrown into this world, but I was. I tried to keep the brackets out of my relationship, but they crept in when the moment got too hot. What are you doing, Kelly? This is not the type of relationship you should be having. You should be finding a nice, upstanding man who will take care of you and give you wonderful children to keep you rooted in your femininity. I broke down and told Lucille about the brackets. I thought she might look at me like I was some sort of crazy mad woman who was a few bits away from the nut house. She didn't. She held my hand while I poured my heart down to her. This was the girl that I had kissed. This was the first girl I had kissed. She was the first person that I wanted to entwine myself with and just never let go. I love you, Callie. I can understand how this might be hard for you. We can overcome your brackets, she said. My heart swelled in that moment, and I knew that she was the woman that I was meant to be with. Forever and ever, amen. The kiss that we shared was something so personal that there are not words to explain how I felt. There are things that are personal to a relationship. Stains only the two in it will know. This was one such kiss. My parents came to visit me in my junior year. Academically, I was excelling. I had added a minor in art. I was becoming an activist for LGBT rights. I was blooming outside of my tender little shell. I was in love with LaSalle and finding that there was a niche for me. I greeted them in my dorm room. I was eager to introduce them to the love of my life and stared out of my mind what my father was going to say. This isn't natural, Callie. God made a man and a woman to be natural partners. I am so disappointed in your choices. My parents had gotten older since I had last been there at the farm in Minnesota. I could see the lines on my father's face. The years didn't seem to have been either kind or cruel to him. My stomach was tied into knots as I stared into his eyes. I introduced them to LaSalle. I made sure to introduce her as my girlfriend. I wasn't sure if they got it. Neither of their faces changed. My mother said, "I'm exhausted, honey. I'm heading back to the hotel room for a nap. I will catch up with you two at supper." LaSalle gave my hand a tender squeeze. "It was good to meet you, Mr. Winston." I gave her my bravest smile as she left the room. It was just me and my father. I stood there by his side. The quiet in the room seemed to be something more than deafening. It was like I could hear every little creak, laugh, and squeal from the hallways, but the sounds just stopped in my room. "I am dying, Callie," my father said. My mouth dried up. My throat had to close in on itself. I didn't know what to say. My father had always seemed permanent, stone in the landmark of my life. "It's cancer. I might not love your choice of life mates, but if you are happy, good. She seems like a nice girl." That was the last time we talked about it. My junior year flashed past like it was on roller skates and I was trying to run it down. I bounced between dorm and back home to help Mom with Dad. I managed to get through my junior year, even though it felt like I was doing it on some sort of cruise control. My father never got to see me walk down the aisle at college to get my degree in mathematics. He wasn't around to see me move to Massachusetts with the love of my life, LaSalle. We moved into this sorry story of a two-bedroom house that somehow my darling LaSalle was able to make habitable through elbow grease and possibly duct tape. He wasn't around to see me get my advanced degrees or to know that I had decided to follow in his footsteps. I was going to teach mathematics to college students to hopefully show them the labels that I knew. I wanted the students to see how the numbers flow. He wasn't there for my wedding to the most wonderful woman in the world ever. He never got to see the grandchildren that we adopted. He will never get to know Penelope or Gavin. I took their picture to his grave so perhaps he can see them in heaven. He never got to see how happy I had become. I had love, mathematics, and a stay-at-home wife who took care of our two children. I couldn't want for anything more. I had found my life in those brackets that weighed me down. I had found my meaning in those brackets. My LaSalle once asked me if I ever wanted to go back to college to take my MCAT, to find what I would want to be. I told her no. This is my life in brackets.